easily.
Whatever. But what it is, y'all, it's your boy Deuce with the Deuce Dialogue. Today with me, I got my very own Xbox friend, one of many, Shawn.
Yo, what's up,
We
man?
actually went to the same school, UMES. Funny story, we had this celebration for our friend, JD. We had his birthday. I was there in the kitchen with me and my girlfriend. We was just cool and whatever. And he came through he actually knocked on the door. My girlfriend answered the door. He came in. I didn't know who he was. I guess he didn't know who I was, or like didn't put a name to face. And we just bypassed each other, not knowing we was like GTA friends. But that would have been the first time we would have met in real life.
Oh, for real, bro. Honestly, I think it was because niggas was T, for real. We was T, so like I wasn't really paying attention much. Cause then I realized afterwards, when I looked on the chat, you was up here. I was like, hold up.
Yeah.
When was you up here? Ain't even recognize it, bro. But like I said, when you T, you're not really paying attention to your surroundings. So.
Yeah, that is true. I was schooling, listening to music. Millie was there. All the men was there. Most of them, much more of them. But that's a good story. But back to the podcast. I know this is one of many of friends that I can actually get political with. I know JD and OD I can get political with, but we can actually go into deep conversations, and I know that he has brought stuff to the table to bring up and talk about to me and let you guys know or inform whoever else is in it. I'm going to let him start with the topics.
Man.
Because I got questions too.
We can go. Well, yeah, when I was coming up here, I was actually thinking of something that was running on my mind. And I know I see it a lot on social media where people talk about the controversial take on when it comes to what a man should do on versus a woman. And, I don't really say my part on that. I'm not the type to really talk on that because it's like people gonna do what they want to do regardless. But something that I was thinking of that came to it was I had seen this movie when I was little. Because when I was little, I grew up with a lot of adults. I was like the only child in the house for real. And I remember we was watching this movie. It was an old movie. It was like picturing back in, I think, like the 60s or 50s. And there was this guy, real successful man. He lives in a successful place. All that, he got his wife, everything. Wife's a stay-at-home mom. She don't really do much and everything. He, however, goes out. He works. He goes out. He works nonstop. He's making his bread to pay for everything for her and everything. And it's a case of while he's out, she's bringing in someone in behind his back. And I thought of it because of, I always hear how women say they want the guy that makes, the most bread. They want the breadwinner. They want this guy. And a lot of them don't really pay attention to the fact that in order to make that bread, you got to really be out there doing a lot more. You're really out there more than the average person. That's why you're making more than the average person. And the trade-off is you're not home to sit there and listen to them all the time. And then like the times when you do get back, a lot of times they're tired or they're exhausted or, irritated with whatever. But in this movie specifically, the guy was the neighbor. And he was just a regular neighbor at first, single man. So, he's doing his thing. And it started out so funny because they were great. The couple was great. And the wife had one issue, and she had a leaky faucet. It's so funny how it starts out, man, because she had a leaky faucet, and she complained to her husband a couple times, and he's like, he'll get around to it. He never was able to get around to it until one day while she's out, like outside in the garden, the neighbor sees her, and he's like, hey, how's your day? And she's like, oh, I'm fine, everything's good. Just one thing, my faucet, I just wish the faucet could get done. And the guy's like, oh, I could do it for you. And she's like, well, no, I don't think my husband would be okay with that. Thank you, though. And he's like, well, it shouldn't take long. And she's like, yeah, but he doesn't want another man in the house. And he's like, well, he won't even know I'm here.
Nah, that's when at that moment, that's when if your woman does not end it right there, at that point, I hope you have a prenup.
I'm telling you, man.
And understand, like, I've seen where the best friend comes in or whatever, but a fucking neighbor?
That's what I'm saying,
No.
bro. Right
No.
under your nose. It should be having right
not
under
having
your
that.
nose, and you can't even tell, bro.
You want all these things, man, and now you going before a neighbor?
That's what I'm saying. He gives you that, and it's the case of what I see all the time is, you know, they want the high man, they get that high man, and even though they get the high man, the man that they was not going for, always seems to be the guy that then comes in. It doesn't really make any sense to me the way I think about it, which is why I don't really say much on it, because it's like I'm not gonna be the type of guy that's gonna be like, nah, you supposed to be in a woman's place, or you supposed to do what you want to do. It's like, nah, you got your freedom. Y'all fought for y'all freedom and your right to do what you want to do.
But have you ever met a woman that, you know, had that conversation or got to that point of roles or whatever?
At one point I did. I'm not gonna lie. There was this one girl, but it doesn't work out. I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, it didn't work out. So I don't really blame her much. You know, she was young, but like I said, it's kind of like they want their cake and they want to eat it at the same time, and it don't really work like that in today's society. So it just didn't work out, and that's just how it was.
I feel like there's a whole lot of BS going on with the whole wants women and men when it comes to relationships, because at some point men do have to step up to the plate and provide, you know, more than just the bare minimum, because I do see a whole lot of BS about how men need gratitude or gratification from the bare minimum, about education, simple care, or whatever the fuck. So I understand when females go around saying that crap, but sometimes when it comes to the woman, y'all's accountability is not there, and like
that thing is non-existent.
Y'all have the courage and, you know, fight to step up to the plate, but y'all swing and y'all miss the shit out of the ball. I can tell you that.
What, bro?
I mean, there are some few women, I know that, because not everybody's the same, but like when it comes to social media, because it's not, we don't control that, so it's y'all putting it out there. What we see is what y'all provide, and y'all look crazy.
They do, bro. I'm gonna be honest, they do, because it's like you will always see the case of the women that do take accountability. They get labeled as a pick me, but somehow that's negative of wanting to be picked. I don't really understand that, because when you look at it, the other women who are labeling them, they're then the type of woman that want to be picked, and they won't really say it though because they don't want to sound desperate. But you know, when I look at it, it's like, damn, it's almost like y'all in the mirror fighting with each other on the same topic, knowing y'all on the same side, messing it up for everyone. Because it's like, at the end of the day, everybody want to be with people. Social people, we want to get with someone. You know, if a guy sees a girl and he thinks she's attractive, she see a guy, she thinks he's attractive, they want to get with each other. But when you want to go out your way and you want to put all these superficial expectations and then expect to not be let down when they're superficial, like, I don't really understand that, especially when you know it's superficial and for someone else, you wouldn't put that label on there, but you think that because you can get away with this, you're going to try to do a man dirty. Like, that's wrong. That is beyond wrong. And then you don't see how you mess it up for yourself because you going fail, and expect another man to look at you and be like, well, she's the common denominator in all the failures. Maybe she's going to be good in this one. Like, nah, we're logically thinking, man. If I see that you the reason, or you the common reason in everything that's failing, I'm not going to pick you up and be like, yeah, this going to be the right one. It'll never happen like that, but I can't really say my piece, bro, because you say something, you get labeled too, or you put yourself in that light and then everybody else look at you the same on that shit, man.
I don't mind taking it. I'll be the one. I take one for the team. I don't really care what people say. Like, I was talking to my friend Kayla. She was on the podcast before this, and she was talking about how, you know, what kind of podcast can you find, or how to find good podcasts nowadays, because a lot of them are just about media BS and celebrity. And he was like, not somebody, I remember the Zach P. He commented on my YouTube short. For starters, you can get your guest a better mic instead of a potato. I'm like, bro, you can either buy me one, start your own podcast, and get a better one. Simple. And he was like, pass. you're keyword. Like, come on, we all like all y'all chirp. When somebody comes up to you, even over technology, even over the screen, you fold. Like, I already know in real life if this was in like face to face, you would have really folded. So I hate how social media is like adding to people's characteristics and like skewing people's views and shit because that's like you said, superficial.
It is superficial, bro, and I feel like that plays into a lot because they're not able to distinguish reality from social media. So whatever they're getting on social media, they equate that to what they should be getting in the reality. And the reality of it is that they don't. You think that because you can talk the talk on social media behind that screen, that when you go out in the real world, you have that same confidence to speak your mind. They almost never do.
I know I can confidently say that I'm different because that's why I started this. Because the way that I am behind the camera is the same way I am in front of the camera. I could care freaking less. If people don't want to mess with me, people don't want to mess with me. If I end up with 5K subscribers, I'll end up with. That's just how I am.
Being real. That's just being real.
Exactly. Y'all just want to. Like, it's so bad that it's getting even like to the younger generation. Like even the people that my girlfriend, she coaches volleyball for the high school and whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, sometimes when I go to the games, just what they wear and how they act, it's crazy. Like granted, they're in the same generation as me, but they act completely different. They're AWOL. Like
they don't understand it, bro.
It's crazy.
They're not understanding it.
But they're like more mature than me.
They're acting. I'd say like they're acting more mature. I've seen that myself, man. I've had quite a few instances, bro. I understand we are in the same generation, but if you 3, 4, 5 years younger, and I'm looking at when I was 3, 4, 5 years younger, I wasn't acting like that. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now to be able to act like that and know how to act like that properly. And you're doing it, and then I'm like, you acting a little bit above your age. You say that to them now, they get disrespected, man. They feel like you disrespecting them, or as they saying, you're hating.
It's older than what they are because even I be seeing little Timmys and Jacobs and all that crap dressing like you. Like dressing like people from the DMV. I get it. You can get influenced, but you look stupid.
They don't know how to put it on, bro. They don't know how to put it on. That too. If you're not from there, you can't just think you're going to put on something that look like it because that's superficial. You looking like it, you're not really it.
Like it's all messed. Like I remember growing up in this area, it used to be, African American group or joggers, sweats and whatnot. And the Caucasian, segment where the demographic was like the whole finger vines and Patagonians. That's how they were when I grew up in middle school and high school. And then out of nowhere, they started
everybody wearing the same.
Influence. I'm cool on that. Make it your own. But when you start like, I don't even know how to explain it at this point because it's not even fashion. It's looking like a copy.
That's really all that it is, bro. Once they look in, they feel like, oh, this is what's in style. This is trendy. It's like, I gotta catch in. I gotta fit on the next trend. All right, what they got? Oh, I see everybody rocking these. I gotta put these on. I see everybody rocking these. I gotta put that on. I gotta do this, that, and the third. And it's like, once you keep doing that, you lose your sense of who you are. Your whole identity now becomes whatever the next trend is, and you don't have nothing going for yourself about who you are for real. But they do. I'm not gonna lie. They do need to bring those back. That sense, I don't know if that's the way that they gonna get it back. If you just start saying the new trend is rocking your own identity, if that's what it is, because like for me, like don't get me wrong, Jordans are something that's like popular, but I like Jordans because I like Jordans. It was never because it's the popular thing or it's trending. It's like nah, I like Jordans because I like Jordans. So I'll wear Jordans with what I like. But I'm never the type to be like, oh, I got to get this Jordan, the next one. I got to go for every release. Like, nah. I look at a shoe. Do I like the shoe? I like it. Like, people look at what I wear, and it's like, yeah, I got Jordans. Also got Steve Maddens. I got some dress shoes. I got some Chucks. I got Vans. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's what I like. And that goes for everything, even this. As a matter of fact, let him see it, man. My cousin, he made this. shout out SF man. My cousin Kyle, he do his own little thing, and I seen it, and I was like, oh, I like this. I like the sweater. I'm gonna buy it. I put it on, but it's not something that was trending. But now when I wear it, everyone's like, oh, I like your sweater. I like your cardigan. Where you get this? Where you get that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got it from this guy. And I show them the Instagram, and they're like, oh, he's not even trending. He don't got a big following. I'm like, that's not what it's for. You asked what I got. This is where I got it from. I like it. I like it. I sometimes I wear joggers. Sometimes I wear jeans. Sometimes I wear sweatpants. Sometimes I wear shorts. But it's all it's stuff that I like. It's never, oh, this is what's trending, so I'm gonna get it. And I think that's what causes certain people to stand out nowadays. But for the younger generation, man, I feel like they definitely got to get their own sense of identity. You gotta, nothing wrong with putting it on. You see it's trending, it's cool, but don't get it just because it's trending. If it's trending and you want to try it, that's one thing. But sometimes they gotta look at it and be like, do I like it? Does that fit me? And if it don't fit you, no need to get it. Don't worry about it. I promise you, missing on the trend is not missing anything.
I missed a whole lot of trends. Like, till this day, as you can see, I'm wearing joggers. Joggers was popping like when I was in middle school, high school. I was still rocking a whole decade, almost a whole decade. I could care less. I mean, of course, I went through the whole, what do you call it? The Vineyard Vines crap just because of the summer and the spring out here. I didn't know what to wear. All I had was basketball shorts. So I wanted something to wear other than basketball shorts during summer. So I got the whole white boy shorts, little above the knee joints, and I was like, what the fuck? And then that was as far as I took it. And then right now, my boy G is getting into like pants and crap. Actually, camo cargo pants. I think I'm gonna fuck with them. But actually, I have only 5 pairs of jeans in my closet right now.
That's better than me. I rock. Well, I wouldn't even say 2. I got 2 that I rock regularly. I got a couple more, but those are like special occasion. Like if I want to wear a certain fit and this jeans goes with that certain fit, sure. But I got like these everyday jeans. I can rock them with almost anything. But that's just what I'm saying, my style. But I did want to say shout out JD for real. That man definitely he gave me that one chance. I remember he called me up one time. Was like, yo, I need a model, and he needed me for like it was like in 10 minutes. I was like, shit, I got you. And I pulled up, and he put that shit together for me, and that shit came out looking good. That like no cap. Right after that shit, we went out, and I was rocking the same fit the whole day. Like that shit is tough. Shout out JD for that, bro. He definitely gave me some fashion sense for real too. Cause being that I'm not from here, it's certain. That's probably why I be missing out on certain trends too. Because I'm not really from here. I'm not gonna be jumping on everything. But being friends with him, I've picked up certain things from him because he got that fashion sense. So that kind of helped me. But at the same time, it's not like I just jump on and do what he do. Nah. He got the idea, he got the mind for it, and I'm able to use that to influence my own decision on what I want to wear. But shout out JD for that, man.
He your flowers.
Hell yeah.
You deserve them, bro.
He for sure deserve them, bro.
Yeah, and congratulations, he's about to start his new job out in Tyson's, actually.
Oh yeah.
And
congrats, my man.
Yeah, and right before we gotta take a break, but I want to hit on a specific topic of like self-awareness and like myself because I created this podcast. Like I'm pretty sure I told you. I created this to learn about similarities within our generation. Either it's on the like individual level or a greater scale, as in like a population or whatever demographic. So, and then I wanted to tap in on like self-awareness and how that affects others around you, even when you don't really recognize it. Because I'll even say it myself. I did. My friend, I'm gonna call him Neo because he'd be breaking me out of the Matrix. I'm being that serious. When he watches this, he knows who he is. My boy Neo, he's been like tapping me in with like the whole financial stuff and like even spiritual stuff and the whole being one with oneself and being more self-aware. So he even like I posted some stuff on my story. And he even got me in line. It was like, yo, bro, whatever. But we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna tap in with that and let y'all know how deep that gets because I think self awareness is pretty huge and a lot of people don't have it.
Oh no, for sure.
A lot of people
For
don't have
sure.
it.
Self awareness is probably the key to like almost anything that you want to do and be successful at. You don't need that self awareness. Without it, you don't really know where you at for real. You gotta be able to look at yourself not just in that present day, but say you start today. Look at your progress next week. Then look at your progress next month. Look at it a couple months, and then even a year. Like when I first came here, something that I did often was self introspection. Every year, it didn't really have like a specific date, but it was usually around the summertime. Every year around the summertime, I think back on how I thought last year and then compare it to the current year. Did I learn anything? Okay, I learned this. Anything that I messed up on? Do I know how to go through that now? Like things that I never really understood. Like in middle school, I definitely could say I was a dweeb. I was a dweeb, man. Like I was that dweeb that was like friends with popular kids, but even though I was friends with them, it was like I wasn't popular myself. But they knew me because sports. You know, all the guys play sports, so we all go to the gym. I'm learning how to play basketball, but because I play soccer, I kind of got that ball IQ. So it was hard to get past me on defense. So, people see that and they start picking me up. I start being friends with them, but when you do dweeb, it's like they'll be friends with you, but they not gonna really be friends with you. And like I learned as the year went by how to get over that, how to get over how people think of you, and like how to start forming your own thoughts on what you think of yourself.
Hold that thought because I'm gonna add on to it because I'm about to get them him. I mean, I can get y'all ahead even about my upbringing or whatever, but I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tell you hip about it because I wasn't interested. Damn, I wasn't even recording my voice this entire time, but it don't matter. It
Still, man.
Yeah, post edit, Anthony. Fucking do your shit. But what do you call it? The whole self awareness thing.
Yeah.
Growing up, I didn't really like you said. Like you were part of when you were in school. You were talking to the popular kids, but you weren't popular. I was not talking to the popular kids, and I was not popular. Your boy was by himself and all that. Your boy had friends, like I had friends who was had girlfriends and whatnot, and all I did was stick to my P's and Q's. I knew that one time that books was gonna bring the girls or whatever down the road, or I actually told or was talking to my girlfriend the other night. I was like, I know girls dream or whatever. Like, did you ever think of meeting your like significant other, or had like a dream of where you would meet your husband and crap? And she was like, no. Like, what? You didn't.
Hey.
She was like, no, I thought I was gonna be single and die alone. I don't remember. I was watching One Piece, but I was like, yeah, I always had not like a dream, but I always thought like since of how my upbringing was, I didn't really socialize with girls and stuff. I was a weird kid growing up. Not gonna hold you. Still weird now, but I don't care. I like a whole lot of shit. People don't like a lot of shit.
It's the identity. It's who you are.
I'm comfortable.
Really own that shit.
I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, which allows me to say a whole bunch of jokes because anybody can get my jokes. I could care less who you are or what you are.
For real.
Because like me just being comfortable and self-aware with myself, it allows me to do a whole bunch of like not impossible things, but it allows me to do things without anxiety. Exactly, or like not like remorse, like murder.
Nah, it's the comfort, right? It allows you to like live in your comfort. Once you're not really caring about how someone else is gonna react to it because you're not doing it for their validation. You're not looking for them to say, "Oh, okay, yeah, that was funny. You can keep doing that," or "Yeah, I fuck with that. You can keep being like that." Like, nah, when you doing shit because that's who you are and that's just how you are.
Mm-hmm.
You do it without any fear of rejection and any fear of what's that word I want to say? Dang, it starts with a C, but basically, any fear of like how people gonna think about you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just doing it because that's who you are. That's
right.
How you be, and that's something that comes with that self-awareness. You figure out what you like, what you dislike, and what you're comfortable with. And when you live in that self-awareness and what you're comfortable with, how you express it is just how you express it. You could care less how people take it. A lot of people, they kind of got to learn on that. I'm not gonna lie. There's some people I've met, even people from the middle school days, from my dweeb days up to now. I meet them and they're like the first thing they want to do is they want to put on a good impression, and I'm like, you don't have to do that. I don't really care that much for that. Just be yourself, and they'll be like, oh, okay, and then they start acting weird, and then they'll wonder why the friendship only goes like a certain way, or like they'll wonder why it is that when they're around you, you're not responding a certain way, and it's like, no, I'm calm, I'm cool, calm, collective. I'm that calm. Like I always tell people, yo, I'm that calm guy. I'm not the type that like to yell. Don't get me wrong. If I get mad, that's a whole different story. But what came with that introspection is I learned how to control myself, how to control my anger, and like, be calm, relax yourself. When people try to disrupt your calmness, think first. Is this something that I'm willing to act out on? If it's not, give them a smile and let them go about their day.
True.
But if they disrespecting you, you definitely let them know, like, hey, that's disrespectful. I'm not going to tolerate that. But I learned also, just because you're not going to tolerate something, it don't mean you got to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also that third option that a lot of people don't know, where you just simply walk away from it and you just maintain your peace and your sanity and shit like that. Like, I'm not going to, if I see that, you a disrespectful person, we not going to really hang out much again. Like, little by little, either little by little, or sometimes it's happened where like instantly. I've been in situations where, people getting disrespectful and I'm just like, all right, boom, up and walk out. They ain't never see me again. I've had people be in a situation, they're like, oh, Shawn changed on me. Shawn switched up. And I'm like, nah, I ain't switch up, my guy. You start acting funny, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give you the circus. Do your thing, ringleader. I'm out.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of afraid to like lose friends, or like sometimes people just fake it just to make it, and I see that a lot in this society, just to be accepted. Like I could care less if I'm accepted. Like even like sometimes y'all need friends to put you in check, or since like you're self aware enough to leave a situation, sometimes y'all need friends, better friends than what y'all have, to help you and think and leave certain situations when it comes to like friendships, getting mistreated in any relationship that you have coming across your way. Because I posted something a couple of days ago, Thursday, and I posted something about who wants to be on my podcast, and how I felt was, you know, people watch my podcast. I mean, no, people watch my story, of course, but y'all don't want to answer. Why is that? Like y'all clearly just saw my story. What's the problem of saying yes or no? Is y'all's pride too? Y'all have too much pride to say yes or no?
A lot of times it's scared, man.
Like, do y'all have too much pride to say yes or no, or you're just being a ghost follower? Like, who's weird now? I'm pretty sure you think I'm weird trying to like promote my podcast, or trying to put myself on and get myself out there and do my own thing. But y'all aren't even trying to be there for a support, regardless if you know me or not.
It's true, and you know the funny thing about when you're doing something is like they always say, um, uh, what is it? A supporter will become a friend quicker than a friend will become a supporter, and I find that very true because it's times where I remember when I first started working with my dad, and it was just me and him. But everyone knew about it, but it was just me and him that I always seen. And I finally realized, it was people behind that was just watching. And then they finally came in on their own, like later on when everything started solidifying. And it's not just in working. If you say you want to take on something new, everyone will more likely watch and wait for you to solidify it on your own.
Exactly.
But they don't realize that it's never you doing it on your own that causes you to solidify. It's always you go out there and you just put it out there, and random people out there will start supporting you. Right. That's how everything will materialize. Other people got to come out and support you. The sad part about it is that the people that know you started it are the last ones to come in.
That is true, yeah.
It's like that's just the way I guess that life rolls. But it also shows who's really gonna be there for you and who's not. So it's like I don't really take it as a personal thing, because at the end of the day, the way I see it is people are gonna act in their best interest, and if you doing something to better, I guess, yourself and the people around you, if that's not in their best interest, they're not gonna act on it, and I can't fault them for it. But what I can do is make note of it and say, okay, if I need support, you're not the person I can go to. And if you're not the person I can go to when I need support, I'm not the person you can come to when you need support. Because I can't extend myself more than you extend yourself.
Right.
That's going to be draining for me. That's going to be a deficit for me. And that's going to lead to problems, because then it's going to get to where I feel like that's one-sided. And that's not just for friendships. I could definitely tell you that's relationships as well. That's even more common in relationships, especially as the guy. I don't really want to be sexist, but you know, a lot of guys. Not because I'm not trying to. I don't want to say that women don't experience it, but almost every man experiences it, to the point where it's almost standard for a man to overextend himself in a relationship to make the woman feel okay. And then the woman will turn around and say, okay, you've done all this. I can now start trusting you a little bit and start letting you earn more. And it's like, I just did all of this out of sheer will, took the leap of faith. And after that leap solidified, now you're here saying, okay, here's your chance to earn more if you continue doing all that you've been doing. And I'm like, so where's the flowers for all doing all that without even knowing what's gonna happen?
Right.
They don't really see it that way. But like I say, people act out their best interests.
I've seen that happen a little bit, but and they be the same ones that be chirping on social media and like comparing their relationship. I hate it when single people talk about relationship advice or just try to have their input. Like, I understand that coaches coach, but they were players once and whatnot. I get that, but they're coaches for a reason now and not in the league.
Exactly.
Like there's a reason that they're still coaching or coaching in general.
I don't even say they coaching, man. Some of them are just the fans in the stands trying to say some shit. They think that because they don't watch the game so many times that watching it is equate to being able to get in the game now, and then they get in and they end up failure. And if you ask, well, what happened? Accountability is nowhere. It's always someone else did something, or, this just didn't work out. And I'm like, nah, sometimes you gotta take accountability for your part or why something didn't work out, because it's a team effort. It's never just one-sided. Don't get me wrong, there are situations where, one person fucks up the whole thing. But majority of the time, and I do say majority of the time, when shit ends or shit hits the fan, it has always been a team effort on that shit going that way. Typically, it's happened over time until it's built up so much, it's bound to overflow. You know what I'm saying? The emotions are heightened, the tensions is all up there. And you start saying things that in the beginning of a relationship, you said that this a line you wouldn't have crossed. You crossed that line under your emotions getting the best of you. And now you think, oh, because your emotions got the best of you, you're supposed to be forgiven for that. It's like, nah. Because when you were calm, you said, even in the heat of battle, I will not mess up. In the heat of battle, you messed up, you lost out on what you created. And that's just the situation. That's just, I don't want to say that's the way the cookie crumble, but that is the way that it crumbles sometimes. Because if you supposed to be doing something and you don't do it, or if you're not supposed to be doing something and you do it, You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it don't matter if you were calm, if you were in the right mind, if you were going insane, if you were having an episode. At the end of the day, you showed that with the right circumstances, you're capable of doing something you promised you would.
Yeah.
So the other person has to now look at that and say, is this the reality that I'm willing to live with? And most of the times, they don't. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles for real, man. But
Now,
man.
do you have any like generation, like any like really big unpopular opinions, or maybe even popular opinions against or towards our generation? Or do you wish like you just wish that sometimes things have stayed the same, but like between my mom's generation all the way through ours?
The biggest unpopular, I guess it is a popular opinion, is it's popular for us. I would say it's unpopular for like our parents and like older people. I guess the older generation or the previous generation is, I do feel like they prepared us for a world that no longer exists.
Right.
You know, I remember growing up in school, they're telling you all the time, work hard, work hard, work hard, and you'll get what you want. And don't get me wrong, working hard did get you it does get you what you want some of the time. But with the not just monetary costs, but personal, emotional, and mental costs that has risen now for the same goods and the same services, with everything rising up, the same work hard attitude is not gonna get you to where you was gonna guarantee that success or you was gonna guarantee that chance. Now it's getting you, you work hard, you get a chance at creating a chance for a chance of success. And it's like, I'm not even getting the chance that I was supposed to get. I'm getting a chance to get a chance to get another chance. And it's like you at this point, you gotta jump through hoops, bend over backwards, and you gotta get effed over because that's just how it is in society now. And one of the basic examples that I see is the housing market. Man, I could not believe when I was talking to my dad a couple of years ago about a townhouse that they were building up, and he was talking about doing that when I get out of college, getting into one of those, and I was like, I'm not sure because they're renting for like 1,800, and I feel like for a townhouse in that day and age, because this was like maybe 3 years ago. I was like, in that day and age, that's kind of high. And he was like, yeah, if they're renting for 1,800, then 1,300 is probably going to be the mortgage around that price. And I was like, okay, that's good. That same townhouse is now mortgaging for 2,100. And it's like, so that extra 800, you would expect that, okay, if I'm paying the extra 800, the job that I'm getting paid for is gonna have like some type of raise to match that, so that the affordability and the cost of living doesn't like shoot up through the roof. But it doesn't, and it's like that thing kind of, but it resonates with me on a level where it's like, I don't want to say I hate the older generation, but it brings a deep demise, because it's like you're trying to say that you dealt with a lot more when you were in our shoes, but it's like we're dealing with the same stress. We have better access to answers, but we can't use those answers. And then when it comes to getting the money now, we have to take on more jobs, get paid the same or a similar wage that you were getting, to pay for things that are costing more than 200 times what you were paying.
Now, do you think when it comes to like even just mortgages with the houses or anything, on an individual note, like do you feel like the older generation, like our parents, have done a fair enough job to like break us out of certain generational loops?
Oh, yes.
Or do you feel like some people have just gotten stuck in so far that they have no chance but to stay just because of the situation that they're in currently?
Well, I think it's actually both sides, as I would say, like, it's a lot of people on this world. So I think because of that, there's enough to fill both sides of that reality. There's a lot of people who are stuck in it, and there's a lot of people who made it out. And so for those that were able to make it out, they definitely broke that generational curse. And you got some people who, even though they broke it, at the same time that inflation and everything else rising up, it's like that you running to chase, you run into not to chase, but you running because that inflation is chasing you. But even though you got to a safe point, that inflation is moving a lot faster. So even though you at a safe point where you can safely outrun it, now we got to run faster than you did.
Right.
But we weren't trained to run that fast. We weren't trained.
We were trained to run the same speed
exactly.
as dog.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like we can't outrun it. We now have to break our own generational curse that we're trapped in, created by the system that we were brought up in, which told us to just work harder. And so it's like when we get into a situation where it's like we're working our hardest, we're still told, nah, you're not, because the result of it is not what we expected. And it's like, well, it's not the result that you should look at. You should look at what's going on behind the scenes. If the cost of living, I believe they say that with the current inflation prices and everything, a minimum wage job should be paying like around $44 an hour.
Sheesh.
That is very, very, very high. I should say. I was gonna say low, but that is very, very high, is what I should say in today's economy. But that is to go with back when our parents were making minimum wage, and they could take on $7 an hour, room with maybe one or two people, and they can get a car, house. They had pensions and benefits from those minimum wage jobs. They could get their groceries, and they could save up for a rainy day. Nowadays, $21 is maybe enough to get you the house and pay the car and get you some groceries. And that's with you working your full 40 and sometimes doing overtime and not wasting no money. Like, where every penny is going to. And that is going to get you some stability. And then even on top of that, you're going to be looking at ways to get a few extra dollars here and there. Some people, they take to betting. Other people, they take to investing and getting that money right back. And certain people, they turn to other people. I'm not going to say who, but, it's a certain demographic that they look at getting that from other people, because that's that necessity. And it's like, you can't really blame them.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they got their bills to pay. And if they know that doing what they got to do is going to give them that bread, they're going to keep doing it. If you feeding a crocodile, that crocodile knows he just got to come up to you to get food. He going to keep coming up to you.
Right.
He's not going to stop.
Exactly.
That's what's getting the bills paid. That's what's getting them fed. So, I don't. It's a case of you can't really judge. You can't judge the people who are doing wrong, but at the same time, them doing it is just like it's like you're completing the loop. They're gonna keep rising the prices as long as you're finding these ways to make more money, because they're gonna keep everything down here. They want society to stay down here, so they're gonna keep it down by rising the prices. Oh, you make enough money to go up into a newer neighborhood, a better neighborhood. All right, we're gonna raise them house prices a little bit more. Oh, a lot of people are buying up houses. We're gonna raise some prices a little bit more. A lot of people are starting to go into grocery shopping and stop eating out. We're gonna raise the prices a little bit more. A lot of people, even the other day I was reading about how the cost of used cars are starting to go up above the cost of new cars. And I was like, how is it that something that's used is costing more than something that's brand new?
Yeah, that's
and
ridiculous.
it's like it's just demand. That's their new way to like curb supply and demand. And it's I guess it works in the short term, but in the long term, you're basically running the cost of your dollar, the weight it costs, not the face value, but the weight it costs is going into the ground. Because soon you're gonna be at the point where the dollar bill is going to be worth 1 cent of what it used to be 10 years ago. At
That
that
is
point,
true.
it holds no monetary value across the world currency. So when you thinking, oh, you want to go out, you want to go to a different country now, nobody's going to want to buy that dollar off you no more. You can't go to the third world countries, go enjoy the nature and natural life and be like, oh, my $100 can get me 10,000 or whatever much. Now they're gonna look at you like this is a piece of paper. It has no value no more.
Y'all
You
heard
feel me?
that? The dollar is about to be useless. It's about to be useless.
Mainly. Although right now there's a third team that's coming up, but you usually have two teams and Barcelona and Real Madrid.
I
They're
know about them. Yeah.
everybody knows them. They're the powerhouses of the Spanish league. The last 10 seasons, they've won. I think both of them combined. I think 8 or 9 out of the 10 seasons. I know Atletico Madrid, they won as well. They're actually a good team, but I would say they're like the underdog compared to those other teams. They gotta have a great team. They gotta have a great game combined with the other team having a bad game for them to win. But like
Yeah, I'm not hip about
they,
soccer at all.
no, I'm telling bro, soccer is it's a
Any
fun,
soccer fans,
it's
please get me hip
fun,
in the
bro.
comments. Like, subscribe, do what y'all have to do. Spread
Soccer
this
is
joint. If you think
fun,
it's
bro.
boring, leave a negative comment if you want to. I don't care. I'll think it's constructive. Someone called my mic a potato. I don't care. Like, if you think it's a potato, I think it's a pristine microphone that Elvis used. How about that? Now what?
It's two different takes, man.
Your
And
comment
then
means nothing. Like, people like of course you're entitled to your opinion, but to what extent do you really think it's gonna affect me? And like I feel like especially when it comes to mental health, I'm really there for the people who really can't take it, because there are people who like really unplug themselves
yeah,
from the server and stuff, and I was there at a moment and stuff, but I just knew, and I well, not I just didn't know. I failed a couple times. Let's just say that I failed a couple times. Tried to unplug myself, and I'm still here. But like, being mentally strong is really important, and having a supportive group, even though you might think you don't have one. People are out there that went through the same thing. Like, people are out there. You can use
reach out.
social media in the good way. You don't have to always be negative.
That's what I'm
Like, and
saying.
people who like make fun of
Reach
people for
out.
reaching out, and I'm with the people who, like, I'm sorry, I will make fun of people who like cry and record themselves and put that shit on
Nah,
social
that
media.
no.
Yeah, you don't have to
You
do that,
can't do
but
that,
please
man.
reach out to somebody. And the people that make fun of people for reaching out, y'all are freaking weird. And I hope you guys like bred people that annoy the shit out of you and make you want to like other people off themselves off the server. I really don't hope that, but I want people to feel the exact same way, since you guys are like that from the jump. Like, I really want people to understand each other and come as one.
Hey,
Like,
unity,
before I get
man.
into this uncomfortable topic, I really like this is probably controversial to most African American people. I really like Christian Kirk. He's on Turning Point USA, I think, and he has all these conversations with people, and they get really angry at him and whatever. But I agree with his points. Like, he was talking about how is the system built in a certain way for people not to get in certain doors or whatever. Like, I can see from the African American side, we do bitch and moan about not getting fair chance and like not getting a fair opportunity and whatever. Yo, shut
You
up.
do.
Shut up.
You do.
Y'all just don't want to. Y'all just complain just to complain. Please tell me where it said, "Oh, you couldn't do this. They did this because of this. Whatever, whatever, whatever."
I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean at the same time, bro, I could tell you it's like nowadays it's kind of like if not even shut the door, but put it this way: if we both running a mile and you get a quarter mile head start,
Mm-hmm.
but we both end at the same time, you are gonna look at it and be like, oh, it was the same. But I'm gonna look at it like, yo, you had a head start on me. If I was given that head start, I'd have been able to get up there. Or even put it better, you ran a better time than me, but we both ran a good enough time to get through to the next round. You might look at it like, yo, we both got through. But I'm gonna look at it like, if I had got that same head start as you, I'd have probably been up there with you or past you.
Here's my view. Like you said in the first one, if the other person has a head start, but y'all have the exact same time, why isn't that enough for you to boast your own shit and say, bro, that person had a quarter mile of head start and we still ended at the same time?
That's not well. That's one view, and I'm not gonna lie. It's certain people that look at it like that, but then you also, like I said, you got certain people that look at it like I just got held back a quarter mile, knowing I could have put my best foot forward, and it's because I got held back at a better time. Why you and I are in the same bracket. And it's a case of like you know that you're better than that person, but because of that person gaining a head start, or not even them getting a head start, but you being held back, you're put in a lower bracket than what you know you're good at. So it's like saying like you got your talent,
Mm.
you know that you good, you're the best in your talent, but you're being undermined everywhere you go. You're being told everywhere you go like, nah, you can't do this, knowing you can do what they're saying you can't, and they only leave you with the basic stuff. After a while, even though the other person right there, he's just getting in, and he's like, I mean, yeah, you could do it, you're doing it just as good as me, but the whole difference is you got more experience under the belt. So it's like you know you could be in that managerial position, but you're stuck fighting against someone else who is also fighting for that managerial position. Whereas you have more than enough experience and you're more than qualified to be in there, not just to be fighting for it. And one way that I like one way, and this kind of goes back to the whole housing market thing again. But one thing that I this is like a thing that it kind of hit me hard when I came, because I like I said I'm an immigrant. You know, I got my citizenship, everything. You know, I came. I'm not gonna. I came here legally. Legally, I don't
Hey, bro,
want. You know what I'm saying? I came
legal,
here legally,
legal.
got my citizenship and all that. I'm a U.S. citizen. However, because I came here as an immigrant, certain things that happened, I was like oblivious to it.
Mm.
And then I saw this one video where it was talking about how in the booming of the housing market, and I mean the typical housing market that you see today, where they build communities and almost every house is identical.
Right, that's a lot. If you, I'm pretty sure you've seen that driving out through here. A lot of like
Yep.
same houses. I mean, Willows,ford, they got big different houses, but like the majority of houses in Northern Virginia and like the neighborhoods and stuff, they do
They're
look the
the
same.
same. It's like they're built on the same structure. But when that started, a lot of companies they had to sign a contract to get the money from banks and governments. And in that contract, there was a clause that said you promise not to sell not one house to a black person. So these houses, because they were built in mass, they were going for dirt cheap. Dirt cheap being, you know, um, $5,000 to $10,000. That, even though it was a lot back then compared to now, that is dirt cheap. So it's like getting that house. Say, you know what I'm saying, I'm a black man, and say I'm the black man, you're the white man. You get that house for $10,000. I'm living in a mud hut. You send that house down to your son. My son goes from a mud hut to a segregated school. They both grow up. My son moves into the ghetto. Your son gets that house. They have sons. Pass the house down. My son's son, he's my grandson, he gets the ghetto. Go down to two more generations. The house is passed down two more generations. My great great grandson is finally able to move into the city. Your great 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 grandson has a house that is now valued over 500,000. That's 490,000 built over the years.
Mm.
Each time that you get your tax benefits from it, that tax benefit goes towards paying anything that your son needs. I have no tax benefit because I haven't owned a house yet. I was living in a mud hut. The mud hut turned into the ghetto that I was renting because black people couldn't own a house back then. They had to rent it. And then now he's in the city. More than likely, if you're in the city, you're renting.
Mhm.
You know, most people in the city they rent. They don't own any. They don't really own anything in the city because the city's on the go. You're just on the go. People that own stuff in the city are typically corporations and businesses and stuff. So it's like you got that ownership. That ownership generated a certain amount of money that you're able to now use, and like you're able to use and leverage against anything like banks, loans, anything. You can use that money that you've now gained as leverage to make other money moves. I don't even have that leverage, so I have to still 6, 7 generations down get it out the mud like I did at the beginning in the mud hut. So it's like we get to we're kind of playing a loop. We're playing on a loop. Y'all are playing on a spiral where from the top it looks like two circles, but the only thing is you're elevating up, and I'm just staying right here going around and round and round.
I could see that when it in comparison to like back in the day, but when it comes to like right now, I don't see the point in African Americans complaining about not getting a fair chance or whatever. Like I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, now it's kind of, I would say it's definitely shifted. I don't think it's just the African American thing. Now, when I look at it, it looks more like a classism thing. You know, people that make a certain threshold are looked at as you are the people that you're the pawns. So it's like when too many pawns are trying to get out. If you look at it like a chessboard. You know how they say life is like a chess. If you look at it, the chessboard at the first row you have like some different players, and then on that second row, that line of defense, it's all pawns,
Right.
right? All pawns. If too many pawns say, "Yo, I want to become," you know how the pawns they can go to the other side, become like whatever chess player, chess piece they want to be. If all the pawns go over there, you got no defense. You got nothing to hold you against the attacking, and the attacking is usually another company. It's usually corporations going against each other to create monopoly and create more money.
Right.
But if they don't have enough pawns, and these be the workers, they can't generate enough money because, and it's a saying that I heard. The difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is a millionaire knows how to make money, and a billionaire knows how to make other people make money. So it's like if the billionaires don't have enough millionaires and lower to keep making the money for them, then they gotta now look at how can I make the money myself, which is the millionaire mindset. So you're gonna lose your status from the billionaire. Your money's gonna go down because now you gotta go back to a millionaire mindset. Whereas if you keep having pawns to do that work for you, you stay at the top. So it's like now it's become that classism situation where they can say, "Oh, we're no longer racist. We're no longer racist." That's like their trump card. It's no longer racist. But in reality, the fact that not giving black people the same resources needed, because when the industrial revolution came about, or when white people came in and like other immigrants came into the U.S. and they were becoming farmers and stuff, the government was giving them everything they need. You know, land, seeds, everything, tools, equipments, all that they need to start being farmers or whatever it is that they're coming in and adding to the society. Black people weren't getting any of that. So it's like after black people built majority of, and I mean very much majority, 99.99% of what the U.S. is today, it was built on the back of black people. So it's like after doing all that, you are then told you're not getting to reap anything. You're not reaping anything of this. But when someone else comes in, they're like, "Hey, hey, I'm gonna take this. You go start something. You go start something." And all the black people, they're like, all right, come on, you can come in, but you gotta start on your own. We're not even helping you at all. You just gotta do that shit on your own. And then they start coming up. And don't forget, when they start coming up, you had things like the Tulsa massacre. You
Right.
had the burning down of Black Wall Street and Lake Rainier. Let's not forget about those things. Those type of things where they were killing off all the successes that black people were creating. And to shift away from that now, what they do is they make it more systemic. What I'm gonna do is, instead of going straight for black people, we've kept them into this one economic class. We've kept majority of them in this one economic class. Let's treat it as a class issue and just do things in a class way, so that if anyone say anything, we can say, "Oh, we're not actually going against black people," but when you look at it, they're making rules that they'll say are to curb those higher up. But when the penalties for things are fines and such, all that does is hurts the lower class, because anyone higher up, they got money put aside to deal with legal action. Anyone down below, they are scraping every dollar they need, because that is to make ends meet. So when you put something up and you say across the whole board they gotta pay this much each year, now the ones below that need every dollar, they gotta look at, all right, what can I sacrifice right here? All right, I'm gonna sacrifice this much. I'm gonna take, I'm gonna instead of buying the name brand cereal, I'm gonna buy the off brand. I'm gonna buy store brand food so that we can save money here to then put up to acquire a legal bank account, so we can keep stuff in there for legal stuff, legal action. That hurts the lower class.
Mm-hmm.
And because a majority of the lower class is the black people, and some other minorities, and even some white people. But because it's majority of the black people, anyone that looks at it on the demographic in a demographic way, they can see that it's hurting black people the most. But because you're not directly doing that to black people, and in the US it has to be like direct. It has to be like, if I shoot in the air and that shit hits somebody all the way over there, I can't be charged for first degree murder. The most I can get is negligent homicide. But if I knew that shit is going, I knew that they over there, all the way over there, and I just went like that, and they didn't even look, I could be like, well, I didn't shoot him directly, so I can't be charged with first degree. Y'all can't give me life in prison. It's the same thing. It's like, I didn't do it directly, but in reality, they know what they're doing. They just do it in a way in which they can't be directly charged for it. They can't be directly accountable for it. But it still hurts the black community the most, because when you look at it, and when you really look at it, like demographic wise, black people, the average monthly income, I think, is like less than $4,000 a month, and that's
Yeah, I
like
must be in the wrong
collectively.
demographic then, because
That's why. No, I'm saying that's collectively, right? That's what I'm saying. It's the whole kill is a lot of people don't really know that, but that's because when you look at it, a lot. If you look at it, class wise versus race wise, class wise, there's black people in every class.
yeah, because I bring in more than four grand a month.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's people that do that, bro. But
But I put myself in a position to succeed. Like I understand, like
it's
back
great.
then, but technology has changed so much to now that you have nothing but opportunities and technology to use to get in to put yourself in those situations. Like I
That is
understand
true.
people who start at the bottom of the barrel got to start from somewhere. I understand that, but for people who are in the mix, there is no rhyme or reason to bitch and moan about how these opportunities aren't fair
And
in my opinion, because
yep.
guess what? I'm in the mix too. Like, but we're all on different life paths and whatever. But this life shit is not supposed to be easy. Like, this
It's
life stuff
not.
is gonna get hard. You just get better at doing hard shit. That's
That's
the
true.
reality of
Nah,
it.
that's true. And that you can put down. I can put that down to ignorance for sure, because it's a lot of people that they won't look at what's going for them. They're just gonna look at what's not working,
Like y'all
and
are
it's
so
it's people
focused in
that's
making
going bitch like
yourselves.
that, bro.
It's a victim mentality. I feel like y'all are so quick to resort to like a victim mentality when y'all don't get y'all's way, or when stuff isn't like in the best light of you. I don't know. Like
That's certain people, and that's for sure. That's why that's kind of why I said, like, it's the how they changed it to a class issue.
mm-hmm.
You can't really look at it and say like, oh, they doing this because I'm black, or it's nah. It's, if I change it to a class issue and you fit in a certain class, but it's affecting a lot of black people, you are gonna look at it like, do I risk losing the support of the demographic that I'm a part of, the racial demographic, or do I say fuck it
And it's an
and just
individual
go
problem.
for individual shit?
It's
And
an individual
it's,
problem.
yeah, that's a man versus self problem right there that they've now created. And I say they is like government, but it's like, even though they created that, it's something that if you're gonna get out of it, 9 times out of 10 you lose your touch with who you are racially. And a lot of people, when they do that, they get to then be told, "Oh, you got your black card revoked. You not your black
Right.
card." Or what a lot of people will say is, and this I actually got it from a movie. That's why, yeah, I watch these movies, bro, and I be like, yo, even though the movies are so tough, a lot of what they do in the movie, I can relate it to like how I view what's going on, because
Hmm.
it's like it was a round table discussion, bunch of white people. They're discussing how to change it from a racial problem to a class problem. And they're like, well, how are they going to react? And he's like, well, the ones that are smarter, they'll move out of it. But the ones that are below, they won't. And they'll be like, well, won't the ones that are out of it help them? And they'll be like, no, they won't, because those below will say that they've lost their touch.
That's
they'll
facts.
they'll say that, and it'll be that victim mentality where you're being like, you don't want to hear from that person because you ain't been through the struggles that I've been through, so you
You
can't
choose to
understand what
stay
I'm
in the
going through. And I'm
struggles.
like, yeah, and it's like they choose to stay in that and deal with that. But it's a case of,
That's where
it's all,
my
it's a case of
frustration
you
lies.
you put it to where people are now faced with going against each other instead of fixing the actual issue, which is, you done, if I done beat you down so badly to where you don't even try no more, then I
Hmm.
give you the opportunity to try, but you don't even know that I gave you the opportunity. You're not gonna try because you don't know that you have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like you just gonna keep the not trying for real, because all the times when you did try, you were met with resistance. It was uh and this, dang, I can, a lot of things that I say, I got references for it, man, because I seen this experiment where this guy, he put a bunch of fleas in a jar,
Oh yeah, and
and he covered the jar, and the
the
fleas only
flea
go to
joint.
the ceiling of the jar. But then he let it go,
They
and
didn't
like
jump out the jar.
all the fleas that were in there, they weren't the original fleas. The
Mm.
original ones, they died off. The ones that would jump above the jar, they died off.
Oh
Their
yeah.
offsprings, they only learned to jump to the height of the cover of the jar. So
Hmm.
when you let go of that and you say the limit is endless now, they don't know more than the height of the jar.
They
So
just
they
think
can't
that's the
go no
limit.
higher.
Yeah.
That's their limit. That's their
That's
mentality.
the
And
endless.
that's the when you look at it, those that are able to go above the jar, they're looking at it like, yo, you victimizing yourself. You saying you can't
Yeah.
go no more, but I can see that you can go above it. But
Hmm.
those in the jar, they're like, my guy, this is as far as I've ever been able to jump. So it's like, it's a case of man versus self now, because you were taught to only go to a certain distance. Your
Hmm.
body's conditioned to go to a certain distance, but now you have the opportunity to go past that certain distance, and you don't even know how to do it.
Right.
And anyone that is coming to you and telling you how to do it, you don't want to hear it from them, because they ain't been through the struggle you've been through, and they ain't, been through what you did, and they ain't had to go
Yeah.
about life the way you did. And so, like, you feel like they're not able to connect with you. You
Hmm.
feel like they're whitewashed, or what was I saying, they lost their black card and
Yeah. Your
shit
black
like
card
that.
is revoked. Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how it is nowadays, where it becomes a, I remove your will, I've removed your will to succeed.
Hmm.
Now you won't even succeed if I give you the chance.
I can see that. Yeah. In some cases, I've seen that over a general period. But to the people who got a victim mentality, y'all gotta lose that shit. Nobody's gonna
For sure.
nobody's gonna come be Superman and rescue you. You can apply the whole victim mentality to any aspect in life, sports, relationships,
Everything.
individual in a generation like we was talking about. That just has to stop,
For
because
sure.
nobody is gonna come and save you. That you are in this joint by yourself. Take everything out of your life. Take your parents. Take your friends. Who is in your bed at the end of the day? You.
You.
Who's getting buried
You.
in the casket when it's 6 feet?
You.
You.
Nobody else,
Nobody
man.
is coming to save you. You better
Nobody.
do
You
this
gotta
shit
do
by
it on your
yourself.
own. And understand that you now have that opportunity. You
Exactly.
have that. Don't think that you don't have it. Because
Don't let
if you
social media
don't
make you
think,
think that.
then you won't do it. Understand
Exactly.
that you have that opportunity now to go out there and be something of yourself. So definitely try it. And it's better to try it and fail and at least know where you fell in at, so you can
Yep.
try harder. you can at least correct your failures to then try that same plan. Or
Mm-hmm.
if you realize that's not what you want to do, go ahead and try something else and try until you fail. As like something that I heard, you never really tried until you fail. So always try until you fail and then come back. Failure is just the experience, and that's a learning experience.
Exactly.
So find out where you fail at and then come back at it. Get back at it. Don't let failure put you down. For
Couldn't
sure,
have said
man.
it better than myself. All right, that's the end of the Deuce Dialogue. I want to thank my Brody Shawn for sliding.
For sure,
It was a
bro.
good conversation. Y'all can like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a negative one. I encourage that because guess what? You are one less person to worry about. But I'm gonna take it in what is it called? A constructive comment, and I'll work on whatever you said. But just remind yourself if you think you can do better, please make a podcast and send me the link. I'll support. And then if it is better, great. If it's not, keep watching mine. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Deuces.